Om. Bhavatu Sano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Hari Om, Jai Gurudev. So yesterday we started seeing the essence of the first Shataka, what Swamiji has beautifully summarized. It is the Mahavakya summary, Tat Tvamasi, and Swamiji has beautifully explained that Tvam is the you, and that you is that I in all of us. And Bhagavan has beautifully said in the first, second, third, that there is nothing to express your sorrow about. Arjuna, you are unnecessarily taking the pain, because there is moksha is something which is opposite sannyasa. It is karma yoga. And he also said the lifestyle, folded lifestyle of pravritti and nivritti, as yesterday discussed, that each one of us have our own Kurukshetra, and in that Kurukshetra, and that Kurukshetra only have to perform all our roles. But the condition is that for that you need to have the pure Antara, Nishalana, and Shrita. And so Karma is the only means, but Arjuna is confused. He is saying that you are saying that Karma Yoga will lead me to moksha. Another side you are only Jnana. One side you are saying I want to take sannyas. So he explained very nicely the lifestyle known as sannyas is not an easy one, because there is no kshetranyasa where you can express yourself through different roles. Whether in Grihastha, we all have our own Kurukshetra where we have to perform our duties. So it is for the Jiva Tvampada Artha. Krishna as Ishvara. Krishna told Arjuna that both of them have taken many births, but Krishna as Bhagwan, Sarvajna, he knows them all. Whether Arjuna on the other side, he doesn't know them. So Arjuna knew that Krishna was, he accepted him as a guru because he knew that he is the right Ishvara who can answer my question. So Krishna told that Krishna was not an ordinary Jiva, and he was an incarnation of Ishvara. In other words, an Avatara. And he was born because of the prayers of the people. In fact, he was not even born. Knowing he is never born, he simply assumed a body. So we will go to the next topic, which is renouncing the doer. He also told Arjuna that this was not only true for Krishna, but that it was true for Arjuna as well. If Arjuna knew he was only assuming a body, that only a form is born, that he is never born, he would be the same as Krishna. One has to know that I, Atma, is never born. This is what is meant by Jnana Karma Sannyasa, the renunciation of karma through knowledge. Krishna then defined Jnana Karma Sannyasa as giving up kartritva, doership. This giving up of kartritva is not an action. It is a fact that has to be understood. Atma is already given up in the sense that Atma is already and always was free from the doership. Knowing Atma as being free from doership is Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Whereas in Karma Sannyasa, karma is given up, but the doer is still there giving up karma. Tell everyone that you have given up all your karmas, that you are a sannyasi. But it is the karta that says this. And this karta has to be dealt with. Even if you take to a life of sannyasa. The person who says, I have done the last ritual is the karta. And that karta is the one who has to be given up. Therefore, Krishna told Arjuna that doership is what has to be given up. Strictly speaking, only the person who is able to see actionlessness in the midst of all activities, karmani akarma yah pashyet, can be called a sannyasi. This person is a jnana karma sannyasi, one who gives up all action by knowledge, by knowing that Atma is not the doer. To make this even clearer, Krishna said that the fire of knowledge, Jnana Agni, destroys all karmas. It is very beautiful paragraph. I will read once again. Strictly speaking, only the person who is able to see actionlessness in the midst of all activities, karmani akarmayah pashyet, can be called a sannyasi. This person is a jnana karma sannyasi, one who gives up all action by knowledge, by knowing that Atma is not the doer. To make this even clearer, Krishna said that the fire of knowledge, Jnana Agni, destroys all karmas. Although Arjuna was getting the knowledge from Krishna, still Krishna told him as part of the teaching to gain knowledge with the help of a teacher who knows. Approach such teachers, Krishna said, and they will teach you. Having said all of this, again, he told Arjuna to get up and take yoga. Atistha Uttishta. It's the fourth chapter, 42nd shloka. Said all of this, he told Arjuna that and take to yoga. Yoga Atistha Uttishta. Why? Because karma can only be given in terms of knowledge, and karma yoga would prepare him for that knowledge. Therefore, it is not karma sannyasa that is, but jnana karma sannyasa. And the difference between the two is to be clearly understood here. So,
Bela, there was the previous para where I think Swamiji explained karma sannyasa, right? I think maybe in the first paragraph. I can't remember where it was. The difference, did he already give the difference between jnana karma sannyasa and karma sannyasa? If he has not, then probably he will give now.
Yeah, no, here in Jnana Karma Sannyasa, he had just said that giving up of Kartritva. here he said renouncing the doer. That was the topic we started.
Correct. That was
Yeah.
the jnana karma sannyasa. But
Yes.
has he mentioned karma sannyasa or not yet? He has not described what that is. No.
No, I think that will come now.
Come further.
So
Yeah,
far,
yeah. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. So I will just repeat here. It is giving up of kartritva, doership, and this giving up of kartritva is not an action. It is a fact that has to be understood. Atma is already given up in the sense that Atma is already and always was free from doership. Knowing Atma as being free from doership is Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Whereas in Karma Sannyasa, karma is given up, but the doer is still there giving up the karma. But karma is given up doesn't mean that you leave the action. Leaving the action,
no,
but with knowledge. Doing the action with knowledge.
I think this karma sannyasa is meant for the sannyasi who gives up just the nitya naimitika karma, all that. But he still has not gained knowledge.
Yeah, the fire rituals and all
Yeah,
those.
that is the karma sannyasa. I think that is what is being talked of here.
Yeah, but here he again said karmani akarma yah pashyet. Means who is able to see actionlessness in the midst of all activities.
Bella, that what did he say about the one line above that? Be understood above that. What was that? Sorry.
Yeah, renouncing the doer, renouncing the doership. He also, I will read once again.
The knowledge. Okay. That's what we read this yesterday.
Yeah.
I think.
Atma is not, because Atma doesn't take part at all. He is neither the doer nor the karma, not the bhokta. So
I particularly like that sentence where Krishna says, I'm an avatara. I have not actually been born. I've just come as a result of the prayers of devotees. And he tells Arjuna, you are also the same, except that you do not recognize it. So even Arjuna is not born. He is also similar to Krishna. The only difference is that Krishna knows, whereas Arjuna doesn't.
It is chapter 4th, 5th shloka.
Yeah, and
Arjuna
this is
means
what
all of us. Arjuna
all
means.
of us. That is what modern science now says. I'm just reminded of what Dr. Dur, apparently a particle physicist or quantum physicist, who met Gurudev some years ago. And he told him, after 3 decades of research, I've come to the conclusion that there is no matter at all. It is all an illusion. And this, there is one Dr. Roger Penrose. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his theory of saying the world is unreal. So what our Vedas, our Pramanas have been talking of so many years ago, now science is coming to the same conclusion. So when matter is not real, which includes our Karya Karana Sanghata, the body, mind, sense complex, which means all of this is mithya, is unborn. The Atma is unborn. All of this has a date, of course, the date you get you can date it back, but then the body mind sense complex it belongs to the physical reality of, should I say, unreal in inverted commas. We call it reality, but it's actually unreal.
It is real, but then what do you call that? In a way, relative reality than this.
Correct. Relative
Apparent
reality.
it's all the appearance of the Brahman, So,
Correct.
so so that's how, like, remember we were saying in the end, you were seeing self in yourself, and then in the other beings the same. So when that happens, everything appears to be real. um, Even though we say this Maya and all that stuff, then it becomes real because it's all Brahman.
Absolute reality and apparent reality.
3 orders of reality, no? Absolute, Paramarthika Satya, Vyavaharika Satya, and what is that? The third one is about your own self. It is Swanubhava Satya. I'm not sure what the third thing is. It is about your own internal universe, how you perceive things. There are 3 orders of reality. One is the Paramarthika Satya, which is the only absolute reality, which is Atma, Brahman. Paramarth is Pratibhasika Satya. That is I'll tell you. The Vyavaharika Satya is the next one. That is the order of reality. For all of us, when we see an apple is an apple. But when the Pratibhasika Satya is how you perceive it from your own Karya Karana Sanghata, from your own previous vasanas, samskaras, how you perceive the world. Because for me, a person A might be very good, very uplifted. The same person, another person might have a different opinion of him. So that is the Pratibhasika Satya. That differs from person to person. So 3 orders of reality over here. But what Krishna is talking of here is the absolute reality. And that is what he's saying. A Jnana Karma Sannyasi is one who understands that. And although he may be doing karmani akarmaya paschet, akarmani cha karmaya. So although he's doing, he does not do. He does it with a non-doership.
So strictly speaking, only the person who is able to see actionlessness in the midst of all activities, karmani akarma yah pashyet, can be called a sannyasi. This person is a jnana karma sannyasi, one who gives up all action by knowledge, by knowing that Atma is not the doer. To make this even clearer, Krishna said that the fire of knowledge, Jnana Agni, destroys all karmas. Although Arjuna was getting the knowledge from Krishna, still Krishna told him as part of the teaching to gain the knowledge with the help of a teacher who knows. Approach such teachers, Krishna said, and they will teach you. Having said all of this again, he told Arjuna to get up and take to Karma Yoga. Yoga mat as Atishta Uttishta. Why? Because karma can only be given up in terms of knowledge, and Karma Yoga would prepare him for that knowledge. Therefore, it is not Karma Sannyasa that is important, but Jnana Karma Sannyasa. And the difference between the two is to be clearly understood here. Having again been told to take to yoga, Arjuna asked the same question using different words. You praise sannyasa, you also praise yoga, Krishna. Of the two, please tell me once and for all Which one is sannyasa karmanam na yogam cha samsasi श्रेयः इतायोः एकं तत् मे ब्रूहि सुनिश्चितम्. I will just say, Brahmaraji, kindly correct me if I am wrong. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punarayogam cha samshasi yat shreyah itayoh ekam etayoh ekam tat me bruhi sunishchitam. It is in the chapter
It's
5, shloka 1.
yeah, sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yat shreyah etayorekam tat tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Yeah, you've done it well, Bella. Go ahead.
Here Arjuna was saying that now he did not think that Krishna was praising both sannyasa and karma, but that he still had a problem. He still wanted to know which one would give him Shreyas. From this, we see that Arjuna was still beating the same drum, still harping on the same string of doubt. Therefore, once again, Krishna told him that both lifestyles give moksha. But because sannyasa is not as simple as giving up of one, sannyasa is not as simple as giving up of one's activities. The life of sannyasa cannot be of any use to a person who is not prepared for it. Contemplativeness does not come by sheer will alone. In fact, the will does not come into it at all. So for sannyasa, you need to have the preparedness. And Bhagavan knew that Arjuna was not prepared for sannyasa.
So the lifestyle he's mentioning is the pravritti and the nivriti lifestyle, right?
Yeah, two lifestyles, two folded lifestyles. In pravritti also, you can remain dispassionate by knowledge only. That's why he said Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Jnanena moksha. Not only knowledge, but in the pravritti also, you can remain steady by leaving the kartritva bhavana.
Pravritti is karma yoga, right?
Yeah.
And nivritti is the sannyasa.
Yes.
Yeah. So even in the pravritti, you can
remain free.
You can remain free
by leaving the doership. That is why there is a sutra, no? Pravritti mein nivritti and nivritti mein bhi pravritti. Shall I read once again?
You just move forward and then see what that says.
Okay. Is there really a choice? Krishna was telling Arjuna here that he could do sannyasa if he wanted to, that no one could stop him. Whether he would be a sannyasa temperament, disposition was anyone's guess. Whereas karma yoga would in no way deny him knowledge. In time, he would reach Brahma. Yoga Yuga Muni Brahma na chirena adhichati. It is from the chapter 5th, 6th shloka. I will repeat once again. Is there really a choice? Krishna was telling Arjuna here that he could take sannyasa if he wanted to. that no one could stop him. But whether he would be a sannyasi in temperament, in disposition, was anyone's guess. Whereas karma yoga would in no way deny him the knowledge. In time, he would reach Brahman. Yoga yukta muni brahmana na chirena adhigacchati. Krishna went on to say that the one who is endowed with yoga is one whose mind is purified, and therefore there is mastery over the sense organs. This is the preparation needed for the knowledge to become very clear to the person. Then the person knows that the self is the self of all beings and all beings are in the self. Once a person recognizes this fact, then even though he or she performs action, the person is not affected by the action, which is renunciation of action by knowledge. So when the antakarana is shuddha, when it is purified, when there is mastery over the sense organ, and you are doing the action without any likes or dislikes, without raga dvesha, and then that samadrishti will be achieved. That you will be able to see this samabhuta bhutastha atma, that it is the same atma which is prevailing in everything around you.
Bela, can you read that para where he says, Arjuna, if you take to sannyasa, we're not sure what kind of sannyas, that part, and then this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just read this. Then
Yeah.
it is very clear to us why karma yoga is important for all of us. Yeah, just go ahead, please.
Yeah. Is there really a choice? Krishna was telling Arjuna here that he could take to sannyasa if he wanted to, that no one could stop him. But whether he would be a sannyasi in temperament, in disposition, was anyone's guess. Whereas karma yoga would in no way deny him the knowledge. In time, he would reach Brahman. Yoga yukta muni brahmana na chirena adhigacchati. That is from the chapter 5th, shloka 1. Krishna went on to say that the one who is endowed with yoga is one whose mind is purified, and therefore there is mastery over the sense organs. This is the preparation needed for the knowledge to become very clear to the person. Then the person knows that the self is the self of all beings, and all beings are in the self. Once a person recognizes this fact, then even though he or she performs action, the person is not affected by the action, which is renunciation of action by knowledge. Therefore, what one is aiming for is to become a knower of the truth, a tattvavid. And to become a tattvavid, there is a choice of lifestyle, but it is really not much of a choice. In other words, if you prefer to live a life of sannyasa, thinking it will be more convenient than a life of karma yoga, then you had better become a karma yogi, Krishna was saying. Whereas the moment you think you do not require sannyasa, then you can become a sannyasi. That's how it is. Sannyasa will stick with you if you are ready. But if you are not ready, taking to the lifestyle itself will not make you a jnana karma sannyasi. Because this point has to be understood. Krishna kept talking to Arjuna. Otherwise, he would simply have told him that he was unfit for sannyasa. So here, Bhagavan has beautifully said the truth about the tattvavid, the one who is the knower of the truth. So whether you are a sannyasi or a karma yogi, when the truth is clear, then even though you say you don't require sannyasa, still you become a sannyasi. Even in the field of karma, you remain dispassionate and you can be a sannyasi.
I think basically what Krishna is saying here is that becoming a sannyasi is not a choice. It is not based on your will. It just happens. That is why he says, when as a karma yogi, if you are saying, I don't require sannyasa, that is actually truly becoming a sannyasi there.
Yes.
Not by will, not by choice, you say, I'm going to become a sannyasi. So once you are eligible, once you are enough cleansed within, which is why karma yoga is important, where with the field of activity, you can cleanse your, have a mastery over your senses, your raga dveshas, then automatically achirenadi gacchati. So you will attain to moksha very quickly. You will get to that non-doership very quickly.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Therefore, the purification, is needed. So what we are chanting, what we are doing, it will give us that slowly.
Mhm.
And we come to that, means the knowledge sinks in. We know the knowledge, but it sinks in when you practice abhyasena and vairagyena.
Then you become that. Yeah. Karma yoga and then sannyasa is the order. Krishna was there is no sannyasa. He was saying there is sannyasa, which is what Arjuna found so confusing. But Krishna was not confusing Arjuna. He was educating him. He wanted Arjuna to see the difference between karma sannyasa and jnana karma sannyasa, because his question arose from confusion. He looked at karma yoga and sannyasa as black and white. In fact, there is no black and white here, nor is there any gray. Both karma yoga and sannyasa are equally efficacious. The only difference being that you have to be ready for a life of sannyasa. This preparation is possible by living a life of karma yoga before becoming a sannyasi. If you take to sannyasa before you are ready, then as a sannyasi, you will still have to make yourself ready. This is a very difficult thing to do. A little like becoming a professor and then becoming qualified in your subject matter. This is not an easy situation, especially for your students. Similarly, if you take to sannyasa before you are ready, you are a sannyasi in name only. To become a sannyasi in the true sense of the word in such a situation is not impossible, but it is certainly very difficult. Therefore, Krishna wanted Arjuna to understand that the real meaning of sannyasa is giving up action in terms of knowledge alone. There is no literal giving up here. By knowing you are not a doer, you give up doership and then you are free. In the meantime, Krishna said, just do what is to be done without being excited or restless about what you are doing or not doing. And in time, this knowledge, this sannyasa will be gained. And whom is the sannyasa for? Is it for Ishvara or for the Jiva? Again, it is for the Jiva alone. So this is the essence of the whole paragraphs, all paragraphs, what we have learned so far. I will repeat once again. Please pay attention. Therefore, Krishna wanted Arjuna to understand that the real meaning of sannyasa is giving up action in terms of knowledge alone. There is no literal giving up here. By knowing you are not a doer, you give up doership and then you are free. In the meantime, Krishna said, just do what is to be done without being excited or restless about what you are doing or not doing. And in time, this knowledge, this sannyasa will be gained. And whom is the sannyasa for? Is it for Ishvara or for the Jiva? Again, it is for the Jiva alone. Meditation. At the end of the 5th chapter, Krishna introduced the topic of meditation, the predominant subject matter of the 6th chapter. The meditation discussed here can be taken as that which invokes the grace of the Ishvara, Saguna Brahma, or contemplation on Atma, that is Brahman, Nirguna Brahma. Both interpretations are possible because both are meant for Jnana. So we'll just recall here the Bahiranga Sadhana and Antaranga Sadhana. Meditating on Ishvara is meant for grace, and that grace is also necessary for Jnana. With that grace, one gains teacher and thereby the knowledge that is moksha. And if you have already done that, if you have a teacher and have done Shravana and Manana, then you can live a life of contemplation, meditation, nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. How one sits in meditation was also pointed out in this chapter. Again, we see that all this, the meditation and what precedes it, is for the Jiva alone. Thus, the
Leela, there was
first,
a little break. Can you repeat that paragraph?
yes, meditation. At the end of the 5th chapter, Krishna introduced the topic of meditation, the predominant subject matter of the 6th chapter. The meditation discussed here can be taken as that which invokes the grace of Ishvara, Saguna Brahma, or contemplation on Atma, that is Brahman, Nirguna Brahma. Both interpretations are possible because both are meant for Jnana. Meditating on Ishvara is meant for grace, and that grace is also necessary for Jnana. With that grace, one gains a teacher and thereby the knowledge that is moksha. And if you have already done that, if you have a teacher and have done Shravana and Manana, then you can live a life of contemplation, meditation, nididhyasana. How one sits in meditation was also pointed out in this chapter. Again, we see that all this, the meditation and what precedes it, is for the Jiva alone. I mean, here again, Swamiji is emphasizing the word Jiva. So he's just trying to make us clear that there is these are for us only.
That is why the first shatka is about Tvam, is about you,
Yes,
the
Tvampada.
Jiva. Right.
So Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma.
Can you please remind me about what Nana say about Nididhyasana? He gave one definition. I thought I wrote somewhere, but I can't remember now.
Yeah,
That
he just, yeah. He said that while contemplating, you don't have to remember that Mr. Krishna, the one with the Basuri, but you have to remember the Ananta Swarupa of Bhagwan. He is all pervading.
Yeah. Dhyana is Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara, whereas Nididhyasana is Nirguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara, wherein you're only contemplating upon the absolute qualities of.
So Nididhyasana for Nirguna Brahma. That's
Yes,
what
that's Nirguna
okay.
Brahma.
Okay,
Dhyana is Saguna Brahma. Dhyana is And this is so beautiful. Meditation invokes the grace of Ishvara, Saguna
Ishvara.
Brahma. So without grace, even a karma yogi, just being a karma yogi and not doing dhyana will not take him further. So along with being karma, as a karma yogi, pursuing knowledge, doing shravana, manana, plus invoking the grace of Ishvara through dhyana, then that will take us forward. Contemplation and atma. Yeah.
Distinctively, no? It's very important. Please repeat these two distinct ways, no? Nirgun and Sagun. Thank you.
Yeah. Meditation, that is dhyana yoga, is about the Saguna Brahma Manasa Vyapara. That is what Shankaracharya has explained in his commentary, that when you contemplate on the Saguna Brahma, that is you pick up any object of meditation. There are different forms of meditation. Let us not confuse this with our Sahaj, but in Saguna Brahma, you imagine Krishna and how Nana had described. You think of all his qualities, his rupa and everything. That is the Saguna Brahma. Whereas contemplation or nididhyasana is Nirguna Brahma Manasa Vyapara. It is also a mental activity, but it is on the Nirguna Brahma. It is on the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, those attributes of Brahma.
Your explanation is so beautiful.
So is Nididhyasana also a mental activity alone? I thought Nididhyasana is bringing the wisdom in your action as well, in your everyday activities, or living the wisdom. So it is mental plus physical activity. Is that's how I understood?
It is both, if you don't practice it, it doesn't become your nidhi. Nidhi means wealth. You see, you have to imbibe the practice. Means, if you say that Atma is Ananta, you have to know that it is Ananta. So you have to do the meditation like Ananta only. So you go in, that's it. And once this Karma Yoga, we do it, so all our many things will be clear, automatic. Say, we see everyone equal, we see everything, that all will happen. And ultimately it will lead to the meditation, where the grace will flow.
Yeah,
So
here it is
then.
Correct. I agree with Sureshji. It is not just a mental activity. You can live a life of contemplation. So that spills over to your, it's like you see that akarmani karmaya paschet, karmani cha karmaya. So you see action and inaction and inaction and action. So that it spills over into your daily activity as well.
Yeah, so in chapter 2 itself, Bhagavan says, no, do everything in Yajna Bhav as a sacrifice to Bhagavan. Yeah, so it is action plus mental union.
It has to become your wealth, nidhi.
Yeah.
That is nididhyasa.
Otherwise, it is just another mental acquisition of knowledge.
Yeah, this sentence, I got it recently with Guruji. He said only once that it has to become your nidhi. I don't know, many people observed it or listened it or not. See, he tells it, but we have to be very receptive about it, his words. And until now, I had not got that. But about 15, 20 days back, I had told you it, I think. No, this Nidhi Dhyasa, how the name itself is Nidhi. Nidhi means wealth. It has to become your wealth. Whatever you are now talking, whatever you are doing, whatever this, it has to be, means we have to acquire it. Wealth is acquiring. You know, so you have to practice all this karma yoga. Then this antakarana shuddhi happens. Then you come into the living things. Then that nidhi dhyasa will happen with abhyasa and vairagya, both. So these are all interconnected. It's complete whole.
The first 6 chapters are about the jiva, the meaning of the word you, the tvam pada artha, and everything that concerns this you, what the individual has to do as a karma yogi. That karma yoga is a way for this person to prepare the mind for gaining the knowledge, that there is knowledge to be gained, that there is sannyasa also. All these are relevant to the Tvam Pada Artha alone. The nature of this Tvam Atma was revealed as being free from being either a subject, Karta, or an object, Karma, and was equated to Ishvara Tad Pada Artha. Because Tvam and Tat were equated in the analysis of the meaning of the word Tvam, Ishvara, Tat has to be analyzed. Who is this Ishvara? How can I be Ishvara? Because there is this doubt about the validity of the equation, Ishvara is analyzed in the next 6 chapters. Even though every chapter talks about the equation, the predominant topic of these next 6 chapters is Ishvara, the Lord, the basis of Arjuna's fear. For example, in the 11th chapter, Arjuna gained a cosmic vision of the Lord with the grace of Krishna. But although Arjuna gained this vision, it was not total because he did not include himself in it. Yeah, that's why he was scared to see him. And because he makes this distinction between himself and the whole, there is fear. This is Bhagwan is telling when he showed his Vishwarupa to Arjuna and he wanted him to come back to his original form. Arjuna's
fear is there only when the other is there, when there is that separation.
Yes.
Atatasya bhayam bhavati in I think Taittiriya Upanishad we had read earlier, I think in chapter 6.
Yes.
Even Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, I can't remember that, but bhayam happens only when the other is there.
When there
is no other, there is no bhaya, there's no fear.
That is what we do in ego busting, no?
Yeah.
That separation, when we stand there, we feel that what others will feel. That fear will be there. Once we do that, that technique will release the cells and the fear, and you are in that state. Immediately when you do that ego busting, you feel released, and then you don't feel the separatedness. Then automatically you start speaking or dancing or whatever.
Again, those four words, I belong to you, is such an important thing for us to dissolve our small I with the big I, and dissolve the sense of separation. Three things as karma yogis we have to remember is giving up fear, raga and dvesha. Then, yeah, go ahead, Bela.
Then this belongingness happens in when we eye watching, that eye gazing process. So you feel oneness with that eye. So that process also makes you dissolve separation, and you feel that process is so good. Then you belong to each other. Ultimately, the tears will come, that everything. The separation goes out. So, but we have to practice it. It's not for that course itself, but it has to come daily. So, if you see anybody's eyes, you have to see God in him. If God comes in front of you with this form, and then do you accept him, or that we do that eye gazing process. So that is really a wonderful process.
Arjuna's fear was so great when he faced with the cosmic vision of Ishvara that he begged Krishna to revert to his human form. He found the old form, the one with the whip in hand, much easier and more pleasant to deal with. Whereas in the cosmic form, the whole world was being devoured by Krishna. All the beings that one could possibly imagine were between the molars of this Ishvara, hanging there in the jaws of Ishvara, in the jaws of time. All the jivas were being ground to powder, as it were. Arjuna saw all of this. Naturally, then he was very frightened. Why? Because he excluded himself from the cosmic vision, meaning that he excluded himself from the whole. And because of that, he was overwhelmed by that whole. Concluding the second Shatka called Ishwara's Shatka, Krishna talked about devotion to Ishwara, Ishwara Bhakti, the topic of the 12th chapter. The third Shatka, the remaining 6 chapters of the Gita, begins with Krishna telling Arjuna that between him, Arjuna, and Ishwara, there is an identity. This identity is represented in the Mahavakya, Tat Tvam Asi, by the word Asi, and is analyzed in the last 6 chapters. What is this identity? What brings it about, etc. are analyzed. Again, Krishna went into the means for this knowledge, the values, and a variety of other topics. This is because although the identity between the Jiva and Ishvara exists, it is not recognized. Therefore, the means that are to be used to bring this identity about in terms of knowledge is discussed from the 13th chapter onwards. In this way, then the 3 words Tat, Tvam and Asi are each analyzed in the 3 Shatkas. We have already seen the first 6 chapters dealing with the Tvam Pada. Now, from the first verse of the 7th chapter onwards, we will see the second group of 6 chapters, the topic of which is Tat Ishvara. Mananaji, you want me to start chapter 7? Or we can just browse through once again the whole summary. All the topics which are there, the headlines, I mean.
Yeah. I think we will do Manana of the summary of first 6 chapters today. You can just run through the headings once. We'll do Manana and then
the 8th, 9th shloka today, no?
Yeah, today is the 10th shloka, I think.
Yeah. So it is the summary of the first 6 chapter, Tattvamasi Pada. Arjuna's predicament. He had an argument because he wanted to surrender and he wanted to take to the life of sannyasa, looking at his own people, and he was in complete sorrow. Arjuna's lot is everyone's lot. What is to be understood here is that Arjuna's lot is the lot of any human being whose mind is possessed, seized by certain situations. This is all the meaning of jiva, individual, the meaning of the word you, tvam pada. We say that I am hurt is you, that I am subject to sorrow is you. Regaining the kingdom was no longer important. So he wanted to take sannyasa and he was not ready to fight. Tattvamasi is Vedanta, it is Mahavakya. If knowledge liberates, why do karma at all? Twofold lifestyle. The lifestyle pravritti and karma yoga and sannyasa yoga. So jnana karma sannyasa Bhagwan is talking. Krishna as Ishvara, both of them gone through many, but Krishna as Ishvara, he is an avatar, he is a incarnation of, because of prayers of all people, he has taken the birth. In fact, there is no renouncing the doer. When you doing amid activity, when you renounce kartritva bhavana, you are already sannyasi. Is there a choice? Is there really a choice? Karma yoga and sannyasa is the order. Cannot be sannyasi without the preparedness. So first you have to be your karma yoga and then you can take up the sannyasa. Even while doing karma, you can remain unattached. Meditation, as Raji so beautifully explained, meditating dhyana is contemplating on the Saguna Brahma, on the traits of the Bhagwan, which are there as a different forms. That is meditation. And when we contemplate on that Nirguna Brahma, the traits of Brahman, which is Ananta, it is all pervading. When we meditate on them, then it is Nirguna Brahma Upasana. And that can, when we do that dhyana, that makes us qualified for the grace of Ishvara. The basis of Arjuna's fear, I think that will come in the next Shataka when Swamiji will talk about the Ishvara, because that is what is in the second Shatka. Arjuna was very scared because he did not include himself in that vision, cosmic vision, and that's why he was scared and he wanted Bhagwan to come back to his original form, which was with the traits. Okay, so we will close our eyes for a few seconds and then we can have our sharing for the session. Hari Om, Jai Gurudev. Everyone can say their takeaway from the first 6 chapters summary. First chapter, then there will be no time for our Dr. Renu said one consciousness.
And this whole thing starts with Arjuna coming to the middle of the battlefield and wanting to see who he is going to fight. And there he is gone into a conflict because his affection for his relatives versus the call of duty. So that is the confusion he lands himself in, which is the confusion all of us have. We are in so many ways Arjunas. And he gets into a grief situation where he drops his bow and arrow and he says, I'm not going to fight. That is when Krishna had to tell him, Klaivyam masmagam of Partha. Why are you behaving like this, like a eunuch? Get up and fight. And then in the second chapter, Krishna talks about the whole first 6 chapters is all about the Tvampada Lakshartha, the you, the Jiva. And he tells him there is no difference between the Jiva and the Atma. The you is unborn. And just like how Krishna is unborn, although he appears as an avatara as a result of the prayers of devotees, Arjuna also, the only difference is that Arjuna does not realize it. And when Krishna praises knowledge a lot, Arjuna wants to just take to knowledge, take to sannyasa. Krishna again nudges him. He says, you may want to take sannyasa, but in temperament, will you really be a sannyasi? So therefore, stand up and fight. Because for Arjuna's temperament, he had to do karma yoga in his field of activity so that he can take care of his raga dveshas. And when the mind is enough purified, then knowledge can take place. Then practice of dhyana. Dhyana will invoke the grace of Lord, of Ishvara. And when you further it, it will lead you to, it will guide you into seeking a teacher. And then you do Shravana, Manana, and then you start living a life of Nididhyasana, contemplation, where you contemplate on the Nirguna Brahma. And Krishna says taking sannyasa is not a choice. It is not out of free will. You cannot force yourself to become a sannyasi. It just happens. It is a matter of eligibility. You should be enough prepared to become a sannyasi. And then he goes on in the next 6 chatkas, he will talk about the Tatpada Lakshartha. And how karma yoga has to be done. Do whatever is required to be done without longing or feverishness as a yajna, while pursuing knowledge. Yeah. Anyone else can share.
Yeah, so beautiful. Dr. Renu has written giving up doership, and Lovelinji has written meditation showers the grace. Yeah, Dr. Mara, please go ahead.
Yeah, my this takeaways, like as we start with chapter 1, obviously, Arjuna goes through this So how he responds to the emotions when he sees his relatives in the battle, he didn't think about it until then. Only when he got there, he didn't know what happened, and he is stunned. He wasn't able to even do anything. He just drops everything. So that kind of situation that can happen to anyone. Looks like when unthinkable things happen. So the second one is about the knowledge. The chapter talking about Atma, mostly what is Atma, um, and how you achieve that through those three yoga that mentioned the following chapters, like Karma Yoga, and then the Jnana Yoga, and then the meditation Dhyana Yoga. So that it's not one way of doing it. It's just so many different different ways, like basically Karma Yoga to clear your mind, purify your mind, so it is prepared to contemplate. And then contemplate during meditation. So the meditation doesn't happen unless the mind is able to focus. Like we have to get our mind from scattered mind to unified focusing mind, so that through japa or bhakti, that would help. And then the what is that? Knowledge. So the knowledge, also we learned that in Dhyana Yoga, where that slokas, I cannot trying to remember that. Sarva bhutasta atmanam. Oh God, okay, I kind of forgot. Anyway,
Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani.
Yeah,
Is that what you
Sarvabhutani
want?
Chatmani. Yeah. Yoga Yuktatma Shavdi or something like that.
Sarvatra Samadarshana.
Oh, yeah. Right. So that is the knowledge point that always we have to keep in mind, that Sarvatra Samadarshana. Yeah. I mean, a lot of points came up, and these are like the main ones that stays in my head. Thank you.
Jai Gurudev, one thing is mind-blowing is, human psychology has never changed. Even 5,000 years back also, we had the same thing. 5,000 years later also, in the future generation will be reading Bhagavad Gita. They'll be discussing the same, all the trials and tribulations of life. It's same, it's time immemorial. People are suffering with this. This is really, so much mind-blowing for me. It's an eternal, it's a mystical document. Bhagavad Gita, I feel it's so
That's
relevant.
why it is. Yeah, it is there this many years, right?
Yes.
For ages. Yeah, and
Technology,
it will be there even in future too.
yes, even after 5,000 years later, some new people will be joining, like this Manana. They'll be doing and the same thing. Arjuna Vacha, all this will be going on forever. But nothing has changed. Technology has changed, swept over the world. But still, the human, the psychology, what their tribulations and all the sufferings they're going through, there's no solution. So unless they have well versed and followed this Bhagavad Gita, there don't seems to be any way out for us. Thank you, Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. For me, that sentence was hard hitting. Is, see, when you want sannyasa, then you are not prepared for sannyasa. And once you follow the karma yoga, your mind becomes pure. This one, and you will become sannyasa, then the want is not at all there. You become sannyasa. So if you are wanting sannyasa, means you are still not prepared for sannyasa. That was really mind-boggling. That sentence is really wonderful. That is the ultimate, we can say. So we had to follow the karma yoga step by step, step by step, step by step. Abhyasena, vairagyena, meditation, everything, grace, all comes in play here. Wonderfully done in this 6 chapters. Tvam. It is all on our Jivatma. Really good. And that was what we are in that dilemma. So I think this is the best forum. What we are discussing is clearing our knots inside. Whatever small doubts we are having, it is becoming washed away. It's day by day we have become clearer. And thanks for the group, because this type of study is needed for going ahead. Until now we were just doing as it is, but this is really what we are doing is abhyasa and nididhyasa with our usual practice of sadhana and all that. Wonderful. Thanks for this group. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, I would like to add on the same similar thoughts. For me, though I knew this all along, but today it kind of reinforced that I have to do a lot of antakarna shuddhi, a lot of those small-mindedness, greed, jealousy, envy, anger, all that. Yeah, lots to do before can even think of going to the next level. So back to Karma Yogi. Thank you.
And the way forward is through abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa is seeing that gap between you and your karya karana sanghata. And then vairagya is coming from the space of objectivity, seeing things as they are, and getting rid of that shobhana dhyasa, where we superimpose attributes on things based on our likes and dislikes. So that when we slowly, and this happens, abhyasa, vairagya, they don't just happen just like that. They require a lot of effort, a lot of repetition, because our human psyche, like how Malti ji very rightly said, the human psyche will remain the same because we are in our structure of society, and all this has been from childhood. We have been brought up in this way to think money is success, to think having a big house is successful. So slowly we have to dehypnotize ourselves, so to say, from this mold that society has created for us time and again, from times immemorial. So mothering that child within, with yourself, uddhared atmanatman, by yourself. And this is your lone journey. We come together as a group, yes, but ultimately it becomes each individual's lone journey towards the truth. And because we all have had the grace of the Lord, we are all able to come together for Manana, for doing this beautiful thing. Yeah. I think we will go to shloka number 10. Sumaji,
I just wanted to share, like right from chapter 1, if you see the sorrow that is there in Arjuna's mind, wanting to give up, he didn't want to fight, is also Krishna's doing. It's like if you really want to realize God, you have to go through dukkha also. And that situation is also created by Krishna. Like he was told to take between the two armies, the chariot, so he could see the position from the middle. But he takes and parks the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona's chariot. So thereby, like, how can I kill my masters? How can I kill my own relatives? Killing my own brought about all that sorrow in Arjuna's mind. And that is necessary because though Krishna is Arjuna's friend, this highest knowledge in moments of happiness could not be given to him. It was only when he was struck down by sorrow, then this was the right time to give him this knowledge. I mean, even sorrow happens to us for a particular purpose. Whatever events happen in our life, take it as a happening is for a certain reason because God is within us. He is reaching out to us, but we are out of network coverage. He is getting that reply. So ultimately, he has to create a situation where we are full of sorrow and then we automatically reach out to him. And then we are within that network coverage. And then he gives us the path of karma yoga, where you renounce everything, like I'm not the doer, all the activities you do without having doership in it. You follow the path of dharma. And then from there, you go to knowledge. Then knowledge sinks in because there is no impurities in the mind when you're doing your karma. And finally, you come to the exalted state of dhyana, where you're doing dhyana yoga. When it's like a bicycle, may be costly, 6,000 plus, but if the tire is punctured, no matter how hard you try, you cannot ride on it. So the mind has to be taken care of first by karma yoga. The puncture has to be repaired first. And then you can mount on the bicycle and ride it. I don't remember the exact word that was used about what when you have to mount some yoga, something was used, word, Sanskrit word.
Aruruksha.
Ah, Aruruksha. I keep forgetting all these Sanskrit words. But it just struck me that this is the same thing like a bicycle with a puncture. Like, so if you have to mount on it, then you have to have a pure mind first. So how can you meditate with your if you are having disturbances in the mind, if the thoughts are there? So first, all that will be, you'll have a calm, collected. Then only you can repose in the self. Then only you can go to the exalted states of the dhyana yoga. And then you can realize Krishna is Ishwar or Bhagwan or whatever. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you very much, Parsiji. That was very beautiful. So shall we, anyone else wanting to share on this? We'll hold it for tomorrow. Today we will go on to verse number 10. Suma, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Brahmadaji. So Percy ji has already said how to get to this exalted state of dhyana. That is what is in verse 10, how Bhagavan says, how to get that. In the previous slokas, we have told that when you reach this level, where transcendental yogi is one who sees everything as same, the stone and the pebble and the diamond and the gold, the sinner and the saint, everybody as the same. So how to get to that level of a yogi? That is what is in verse 10. Yogi yunchita satatam. Yogi yunchita satatam. Atmanam rahasi stitaha. Ekaki yada chittatma. Nirashit aparigraha. I know my Sanskrit is not very good, but I think I have improved from what I was last year. So in this verse, Bhagavan says that how to engage your mind constantly with that object of your meditation, Bhagavan. So he says you have to sit in a quiet place, rahasi sthitam, that is, rahasya means secret place or quiet place, and constantly remain your mind engaged or constant union with the object of your meditation, which is the divine. So for which you have to be alone, ekaki. And your body and mind has to be relaxed. This is what Pasiji has said very nicely, that only if you are purified, your antakarna is purified, can the mind be relaxed, and definitely the body will follow the mind. So first we do the karma yogi part and clean the mind. So you get to the state of relaxed state of body and mind and sit in a quiet place, being alone. And one who's free from any longing, nirashi. So dropping all desires. And this also has to happen with maturity, where you drop all your longings, your desires, your cravings, aversions, all that, and without having, and free from possessions, aparigraha. So here Bhagavan says a yogi has to be free from possessions. Again, this is a stage of maturity where we have to come to that state of even dropping the knowledge, the desire for knowledge, or the wanting to know. So this is what I gathered from this chapter 10th verse, that one who remains in a quiet place, whose body and mind is relaxed, free from desire and wanting to possess, and in constant union with the divine, that yogi reaches this samatvam state. When you read further into the explanation given by Swamiji and Adi Shankara, he goes on to say how this is the definition of a sannyasi. You come to this stage when you see everything as equal, that is a sannyasi. To reach to that sannyasi level, Swamiji talks about the 4 varnas, that brahmacharya, where you gain all the knowledge and wisdom and all that. Then you go through grahastha, the householder stage, where you need possessions, where you need family, children, all that. So you start having desires and you start possessing things and all that. And now you go to the next stage, which is the vanaprastha. And then only you get to sannyasa. So Swamiji's explanation I liked, where he says, sannyasa, you're in your grahastha stage itself, you are preparing for your sannyasa. So through your grahastha only you can reach sannyasa. So even Gurudev says, only after you have experienced wealth can you drop wealth. Only when you've experienced fulfillment of all your desires, that even before a desire arises, things get fulfilled. Only when you come to that stage can you drop, or desire drops naturally. So this is what I gathered after reading this last night. I may be wrong, but I understand that grahastha, we need to go through this grahastha stage to come to sannyasa. And he says in sannyasa, it is not that you leave your family and all that and go and sit in some forest, ekaki. He says, anyway, in meditation, you are alone. You are with yourself alone. Even if you're not meditating, you are still alone. I liked that because we seldom think like that. Or at least I don't think like that. We are so caught up in our thoughts, we don't realize that these thoughts are mine alone, my concepts. I'm caught up in those alone. So I'm still alone. So he gives this explanation for ekaki, being alone with your own self. So you need not necessarily go to a forest and all that. Whereas Adi Shankara's explanation is that you go to a cave or go to a forest or go to a mountain top where you're not. He talks about the sannyasi in the literal sense, I think, or the sense that we've been used to, where you drop your family, everything, and you go by yourself somewhere and sit and meditate and totally be absorbed. To come to that level, you have to first have antakarna shuddhi. Then only you can go there. So Swamiji says, even in grahastha stage, you can still be an ekaki and sit and be consumed with God, with the divine in your meditation. After you have crossed the duties of the grahastha. I liked that. Then I thought of the contemporary situation today. This grahastha stage doesn't seem to end. One is constantly wanting to possess, and buy this and that. At least I got caught in that some time ago, but not now. But we don't seem to come out of this grahastha stage. And Gurudev also spoke about this in one of the satsangs. He said how some of these family businesses, people are so miserable because the grandfather, even at 85, wants to control everything, not allowing the creativity of the younger generation or taking into consideration their likes and dislikes. So he said how they don't go to this vanaprastha stage at all. They continue to be in this grahastha, dictating how things has to be done and all that. So I was thinking that, and then it came to my mind that ultimately now everybody is going into old age home, whether in India or anywhere else. So somewhere we lost this wisdom of this varnashrama. I mean, this is not varna, this is ashrama. We lost this, the stages of human life. We were never taught like this. I don't think I was not taught in school nor anywhere I learned all this, though it was in one line in a history book. I remember just one line that the ancient Vedic system had brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, but no explanation on any of those. So on contemplation, I was just thinking that this is the system which is existent everywhere. And somewhere this wisdom was lost, that from grahastha, you're preparing for your vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is, literal meaning is going into the forest or leaving the family and go into doing social service and all that. Whereas Gurudev says it is sharing your wisdom with the society. Gurudev doesn't say about leaving the house and going into the forest and all that. He said vanaprastha is a stage where you allow the younger generation to blossom and you share your wisdom. And he says that is when a grandmother, she's always wanting to give. When she's alone, she doesn't make any dish. Maybe she just makes one dish, but when the grandchildren and all come, she's constantly making so many things. So that is a vanaprastha state of mind. And recently when I went to the ashram, in one of the discussion, one lady spoke to me exactly these things, and she said, see, our previous generation was very contented. They never wanted possessions, or even if they had only one house, they were happy. But our generation is not like that. Do gadi, teen gar, like that. We are still, in that grabbing stage. Whereas our parents were not in that state. That state of contentment was there beyond 50, 60, that grahastha had kind of matured into vanaprastha, sharing. So these are my thoughts. So I'll stop here.
My God, so beautiful, Sumaji.
Thank you very much, Sumaji. That was wonderful. So, any one of you volunteering to take shloka number 11, you can message in the group. We'll close the session today. That was wonderful sharing.
Very nice, very nicely told.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, thank you. Nice, Sumaji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.